So you get somebody on general Medicare, you're following up with them, and maybe you're leading them with MedSup, ancillary, whatever. It's general Medicare, you do anything you want in that regard. The pivot to Advantage. Obviously, there's a point in a call where the best thing for somebody could be an Advantage plan.
Yeah.
And I never thought compliance was made to not help someone. It's made to not intentionally bait and switch, where you're just writing Advantage plans. And so for people like us, who we're writing stuff, we're writing ancillary, we're writing stuff, but there's a point in that call where I might say, well, you should consider an Advantage plan. There's a lot of compliance Nazis on the internet that would just be like, well, if it generated from general Medicare, you can never transition to Advantage dead. So basically you get to the point where you're like, this person needs an Advantage plan, and I have to say, piss off, can't talk to them.
What are the odds that you're going to get a complaint? So this is what I would say to you, is do it through a dialer, like Vici, or you guys I'm sure have a dialer. Record the conversation. When it gets to the point that, well, Mary, it sounds like you know, based on what we've discussed, a Medicare Advantage plan is probably going to be the thing that we should be looking at for you. But before I go any further, we need to do what's called the scope of appointment, go through that explanation. Text it to her, let her sign the scope, and continue.
Yeah.
So worst case, you can pull that recording, show that you've done it, stops the conversation right there. You can prove that you give them the whole 20-minute conversation.
So that recording,
you'll never ever get that. I've never ever.
No, and I agree that you're not going to get the complaint. I also agree for sure that the carriers are not out to get you on that stuff. There are people online that I'm not going to say their name that are telling people that that's a dead call. You can't transition because of some random AHIP question that says something like you can't, that a Medicare Advantage plan can't result from an unsolicited contact.
I understand. So, but if you speak to compliance at Aetna's compliance officer.
Yeah, they don't interpret.
They're going to tell you absolutely you cannot do that, right?
Yeah.
It's easier to apologize later. But I'm telling you now, if you put
you're always complying as long as no one complains.
Yes. So what I'm saying is it'll be unfounded if you can provide them with the evidence that you were calling on a general call. And by the way, you guys have got a special case, because you can say, look, we did 5, 10 million, whatever you do in MedSup every year.
We're not sitting here making it's not like we did 100,000 Medicare Advantage and no
If it's
MedSup.
him and he does 400 MAPD a year and 3 MedSups,
it's going to
be very difficult for him to say, well, I'm
leading with MedSup.
You know what I mean? Come on.
But if we're doing 50 or 60% of our business at least is MedSup.
I don't worry about what people on the internet say.
There's a lot of people like young agents that just get scared out of like even talking to somebody, and they're literally getting scared out of helping people because there's Miss Betty might need an Advantage plan.
Yeah.
And compliance wasn't made to not offer her a product.
No, it's there to protect her from a scam.
Yeah, a scam,
right?
Yeah, a bait and switch, a legitimate bait and switch thing.
I mean, you know how over-compliant I am. Yeah. I get pissed off with the agents like this because they're taking chances.
Well,
they're in a final expense appointment and they're like, okay, that appointment's over, now let's talk about this Medicare Advantage. They don't even leave the house. No, I mean, really, now you're really pushing your life.
And so
at least go to the store and buy a drink.
That actually brings up another point. So that brings up another point because I've heard Brandon Clay, who's I respect,
I like Brandon.
knows a ton of stuff.
Sure does.
Say that I heard him say this in Nashville a couple of years ago. That if you sell them the final expense plan, get it approved, that now they're a book of business. And so you can compliantly transition.
Again, gray area. So my argument there is they're not your client until they've made their first payment.
Okay.
That's how my logic works.
Okay.
Right? They're not your book of business until they actually become your book of
so
business.
So based on current...
on that first draft. That is just my opinion. So, but this is what I would say to you is when they got rid of that defined 48-hour period, you cannot recontact that client.
Yeah.
What I say to that person is, look, I want to talk to you about the Medicare programs in detail, but compliantly I cannot do that in the same point. Now, I can come back later today or come back tomorrow morning. People are going to be there when it comes to healthcare and you saving them money.
Yeah.
Like if I say to you, Mary, I know I can save you a ton of money and put you in a better situation. I cannot go into details about it. Are you going to be here tomorrow morning? So As a final expense guy, I always did like a Medicare Monday. I'd be like, look, I've got all the information, I'm gonna go put it all in the system tonight, I'm gonna figure something out for you. I'll call you tonight or tomorrow and let you know, and I'd call her back and say, I've got great news, I can save you $2,000 a year. Are you gonna be around on Monday? I call them Medicare Mondays. Because I'd start my Mondays off with 3, 4, 5, 6 sales.
Yeah.
And you know what happens when you start with a good Monday, you've already made sales.
Yeah, Monday.
The rest of the week is like skiing downhill, dude.
Yeah.
Because you're riding this wave. And
Talking to a lot of the insurance companies as well too. When it comes to doing anything over the phone, from the second the conversation starts, even when it comes to the initial contact, whether it was a generated lead or you're calling, appropriate scrub data, all that really matters is making sure you record it from the start to finish. And I think as long as you're not leading a client down the wrong path or asking the wrong questions, a lot of the conversations we've submitted for compliance checks, especially, you have to ask like specific questions. So, hey, Mrs. Jones, are you currently, do you currently have a monthly premium? If they are an existing Medicare client, you're asking
One
questions.
of the things we're going to need to do is start offloading all of our call data, because our calls are recorded, but it records
It's adding
like
up.
90 days of them,
Yeah.
and then it starts to fall off. So we're going to have to start.
You know
just
how to
back
start
ours
that?
up- we brought back ours up 3 different ways right
Yeah.
now, but yeah, it's pretty easy.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
ma'am.
mean, we have, so Google has Google Vault, which is an encrypted Google Drive.
Yeah.
I think I pay $100 a year for it for like
Yeah, that's
10
it.
terabytes. It's crazy, yeah.
Well, that's
And then
all-
I also, and then
yeah, and it's compliant. It's
And
one
it's
of the only.
compliant,
It's
too.
one of the only ones that's
One
fully
set.
compliant.
Yeah, and then we actually have a hard cert, like a true
You're on a
physical
Yeah.
hardware server, and then we have it in the cloud initially.
We have a cloud drive that we use through a company called Entrust or Engard. They changed their name, but they cater to like hospitals and stuff. It's a HIPAA compliant.
Oh,
yeah.
The email server and e-box, or they call it e-box, which is a cloud drive. Their data storage may be a little more expensive though, so if it's cheaper for something like calls, which will jack up a lot of data
Yeah,
really
take a lot of
quick,
data
then I
quickly.
would look into doing the Google Vault thing,
Yeah.
just for that.
I think just the fact that you're recording the call,
Right.
you're holding yourself
Yes, ma'am.
to a higher degree, right?
Well, it's not only that, but what I would recommend, if you're really trying to do it, what we found and what we know, especially even on the life side, we don't, none of the vendors that we work with, none of the call centers that we operate, they're all using opt-in data, where the data's actually already got all the pre-compliance approvals of the
Yeah,
language from the
they've
lead that's
requested
generated.
the outreach.
So we're getting them from like publishers.
So you're
So
not
it's
doing
like-
it as cheap.
Yeah, but in the long run, it's higher quality.
Yeah, because you got intent.
It's
You're
higher
not
quality
dialing-
data.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of course it is. There's
In
some
the, in the
intent.
beginning of our trial and error of figuring out the vendors,
Yeah.
cheap was not the way to go, unfortunately.
It comes
Not-
back
not
to this,
unfortunately.
Justin, like when I was doing final expense, I ran 30 leads a week and I had 2 days left picking my nose. Then I went to 40 and then I went to 50 direct mail leads a week because I wanted to fill my base.
Yeah.
I didn't care that the leads were $35 a month.
Yeah.
Because now I'm filling my days with quality, sit-down, face-to-face
Yeah.
appointments.
Yeah, if you,
And I'm absolutely
you
crushing
act
it.
cheap, you're going to get cheap
Yeah,
results.
I could get 10-cent leads and maybe have 2 sits a day and be like, woo, I don't have a lead cost, but I'm also selling.
Like,
So our appointment setters will call direct mail. They'll call our two. We've really dialed in Facebook and direct mail for Medicare, specifically Advantage. And I mean, we have guys that have. I mean, Ryan and Matt would have to dive in further, but we have we have campaigns where we get the proper agreement where we can text them.
Like, I
And
just sent you
so-
the language that's on all of our leads, Rock, so you can see it, but it's, like, if you pull it up and look at your email, it is crazy how in-depth.
is it
ours
direct
is.
mail or is you talking about
Oh,
Facebook?
on the Facebook ones. Direct mail is, it falls into a different category of TCPA compliance, what's
I'm
a,
gonna move over here so I can
all,
see
like,
everything.
you're basically,
Kind of in the middle.
you're basically giving up your rights
Picking
on
in the middle.
TCPA by filling out a mail card and sending it back in.
And you know how they say, like, a lot of people have said, like, oh, you can only call direct mail lead for 90 days and then you're not compliant. That's actually not accurate. We dug in, because Ryan came to me and said it's 90 days, and I even dug further. There really is no time limit if someone filled out a card and gave you permission. The only time limit when it supposedly stops is they have to put in writing that they want it to stop.
Like opt out.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, if someone calls you and says, don't call me, you don't call them. But in theory, if they don't put it in writing and submit it to you, you're allowed to contact them. Based on what we have found. Now, of course, we, a lot of all the volume we generate, we believe in getting, new interest. And, we don't, some groups really push like aged leads. We really believe in creating new leads, just trying to do it as affordably as possible. So if I was you and it's like, what am I trying to do? I would generate Facebook and I would generate direct mail and I would blend the two and I'd have my appointment setter
Here's your leads for
calling
today.
that. You don't ever want an appointment setter. You don't want it to be like, hey, come work with me and here's just a bunch of old aged leads or opt-in data and they're calling, banging their head against the wall. You want them to have success. And that doesn't mean you don't sit down with them in the beginning with that, with the quality fresh leads and not help them get the results till you feel comfortable. But that can be it's just, that's why you need to reward them. You need to give them the higher quality. If you're giving someone just aged leads, they're gonna not wanna do it for too long.
Right.
So your goal is to make it where you don't have to worry about even calling a lead.
Well, I tell you, man.
But of course, you still have to do it. Life, it's a little bit. People are more open, or they want to get someone to set appointments for them because a life appointment, it's just you get more no's. Medicare on the health side, it's more service, making sure you're helping them understand their options. Life, it's really more of a sale. That's why for our final expense agents that have transitioned, we've seen so much success, not only because I believe, it's more of a service concept, but it's really just, it's easier. So for them, and they feel like they're really, of course we feel like we're serving and helping on the life side because you're giving someone, a benefit that's going to protect their family when they pass, but you're also on the Medicare side. I mean, like my dad who just got a med sup, Justin was on the phone with me and he was saying he was paying $900 a month just for his prescription drugs because he has diabetes. Now he goes from paying with his employer, I want to say his cost share with him and my mom were, I think it was like $700 a month, and then he had $900 a month in prescription drugs. It's now, between the two med subs, it's $230 a month is what it was, and their prescription drug cost will be, like $30 a month.
A much easier sale though, as compared
Oh,
to.
it's so rewarding. You're going in and you're taking, I saved my dad like 10 grand for the year. It was awesome.
Is there any way that I'm able to plug in to what you guys already have rolling, like with the Facebook?
Yes.
Yeah, you can get access to all of it, yeah.
Dude, so I want Ryan to explain to you what we're doing on the drip campaigns and stuff. It is the automation. It is ridiculous. These people are setting their own appointments.
We had created a concept where it was like the last 2 weeks of, whenever you're in AEP, I know with you guys it's a lot different with the model you guys have built and the way that you just have, it's years and years of creating this awareness and need for people to come see you. But for us, a lot of times in AEP, people just sprint out of the gates. People that they had seen throughout the year, final expense clients that they're following up with that have asked them to come speak with them, the leads that we send out. So it's like a sprint the first 3 quarters of AEP, but then the last quarter, we saw it just slowing down a little bit. And we've heard from everyone else it slows down. So we were like, well, how can we creatively kind of give us that last final boost? So what we did is we took all of the leads that we had generated from that entire time, and we put it in, and again, because we do the compliance piece correctly with Facebook, we were able to contact them through text. And we set up campaigns where it was like a countdown. So we took our agent's photo, sent them a text that said, hey, your open enrollment's ending in 5 days,
16, 15,
and it was
14,
schedule
13.
your appointment now, and you send it out to people. Our one guy in Connecticut, Joe Violetta, did it, and within 3 hours, he had 14 appointments.
that pre,
So it's just those- yeah.
so they click on the link, it brings up his calendar.
Johnny took them all out the other day.
They find the open time and schedule it with us.
Ryan
And they all
Travers,
showed up.
Travers in Florida was telling me
That's
his,
even more
That's
impressive. They all
ridiculous.
showed up.
It's
Travers
ridiculous.
has automated his process where like people will schedule, but then the call also comes in and it'll alert you with our CRM immediately. So then you call out if you want to call it, or if you have an appointment setter, it alerts them in real time. And now, are you ready to make the outbound call? Yes, boom, and it calls you. Or it'll send them a message to the client. Hey, thank you for your interest, da, 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 if you'd like to schedule a time, boom. So you're gonna get some people that fill out the form, get the text and go, you know what? Boom, I'm gonna schedule my appointment right now. If they schedule it, still call them, hey, Mrs. Jones, thank you. You're gonna be meeting with, Bob, tomorrow at 10 a.m. I just wanted to call to say thank you if it's an appointment setter. If you're the agent calling, it's, hey, Mrs. Jones, my name's Tyler. I'm gonna be meeting with you tomorrow. I just wanted to call to say, hello, and I look forward to seeing you.
Yeah, when we were doing like the same thing through Samson with secure agent marketing, and a lot of times you'd make the sale right there when you call them.
Yeah.
Like to confirm the appointment, you would call them, hey.
That's why some agents just are like, with life, I want to create that, I want to have the appointment setter, I want to make it, but it gets to a point where time in your day,
Absolutely.
you only, if you're out running, you really can't be calling. So you can in between appointments, but so that's why having that piece, supplemented, if not done entirely, is advantageous.
I mean,
Well, also every piece of
Interested,
correspondence that you send out has your link on it. And with Sunfire, every agent has their own personalized URL where they can log in, they can actually run the plan comparisons themselves, and they can click enroll and enroll themselves. And it goes directly into your book of business. So you can start generating that kind of income. You actually haven't done anything. And it's just a follow-up call.
Yeah,
sounds awesome.
But I would do direct mail, Facebook. You can do, opt-in data works. In my opinion, if I was, like how I would view it is I would view it like appointment setter that's generating, that's kind of building our schedules. If we're going out in the field, that's creating our day. We have, if you talk to Kevin Meller out of Georgia, he had never written a Medicare app. He ended up doing, I think, 120, close to 125. And he did it through Facebook lead generation, had an appointment setter, and he did it all over the phone.
I spent one day.
So she just set up all of his appointments. So instead of going out, it was like, okay, I want an appointment every half hour on the hour.
He was running 14 to 16 appointments per day. I spent one day in the field with him late September, and he was like, I got it.
But the process is, the more simplistic and efficient you can create the process, the more growth you'll have. Because at the end of the day, we can all sit here, everyone enjoys meeting with the client and getting the guests and helping them, right? Everyone wins. The client wins, we win, we feel good. But some of the work we do is, it can be a drag. It can be something that, kind of beats you down. So having someone help you do that, or automating systems to be able to create an easier, more simplistic process. Agents want that.
Well,
Just because I would want it too.
So now,
If it's like, hey, here's a list of people you can go see that are interested, whether you're calling them. It's kind of like why you guys do TV. Because guess what? Mrs. Jones goes, oh wait, I've needed to talk to someone about Medicare. Hey, I'm interested. That's just a higher quality lead. And so it's, you want to work smarter, not harder.
but you also think about the backside, right? So now what we're turning on this week is when you make a sale, and you're doing it through our CRM, you're using Sunfire, you market it in the CRM as sold. In three days' time, they're going to get a ringless voicemail. 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. They're going to get a birthday card already sent out. They're going to get a pre-AEP ringless voicemail from you, and it's generic. Hey, this is Peter, your Medicare agent. I just want to thank you for your business. You should be receiving your cards within the next few days. If you don't get anything in the mail, please feel free to reach out to me. Here's my number. They get a text 5 minutes after that. Hey, I left you a voicemail, just want to make sure that you got it. Like, it's just all this automation. You're actually not doing a thing. So all those calls that you used to make, so if somebody has a problem, they're going to reach out after 30 days. Yeah, I didn't get my card. Or, you know, my doctor's not on the network. What are you doing? Rather than just saying, screw it, I'm calling the, you know, I'm doing a rapid disenroll. The whole idea is get them through that 90 days.
Right.
Get rid of those rapid disenrolls and keep them on the books.